Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
New essay questions on many federal job applications asking candidates how they would advance the Trump administration's policies are optional, according to the Office of Personnel Management. Unions challenging the questions in a lawsuit say many job applicants can't skip over the essays and can't submit their applications without answering them. The questions are appearing on a growing number of federal job applications, and Federal News Network's Jory Heckman is here with more. Jory, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Terry. Great to be here.
So there's a court case. What's going on here?
Yeah, just to reset on what this court case is really all about. Last year, around May 2025, after probably the most intense wave of firing probationary employees and going through reductions in force at many agencies, the Trump administration and its Office of Personnel Management released a merit hiring plan. And this was focused on going forward how the Trump administration was going to recruit and retain federal employees for the jobs that they still consider to be important to the work that they were trying to do. And as part of that merit hiring plan, OPM said that a lot of federal job applications on usajobs.gov would include these 4 short essay prompts. And 3 of the 4 were pretty tame. They talk about the federal employees, federal job candidates' devotion to the Constitution, their commitment to the Constitution, and how they see this role being essential to that, work ethic, and also how they plan to promote government efficiency. But there is one question here that really raised objections from several federal employee unions, and that's the thrust of this lawsuit. The essay question that they're most concerned about here asks candidates how they would advance the president's executive orders and policy priorities, and to name 1 or 2 executive orders or policy initiatives that are significant to you, the candidate, and how they would implement them if they were hired. Unions say that this amounts to a loyalty question, that this is really vetting the candidate's loyalty to the Trump administration, not to the Constitution, which is what federal employees are swearing an oath to do. They uphold the Constitution, not any one presidential administration. And so this lawsuit is challenging the inclusion of these questions, asking them to be taken down.
In addition to their objection to that 4th question, what are the unions now claiming about the process?
Yeah, so one of the attorneys representing these plaintiff unions recently submitted to the docket several job applications that he went through for several different federal jobs across the spectrum here. He applied for an assistant U.S. attorney position at the Justice Department, an OSHA position, and a clinical psychologist position for the Defense Health Agency. These 4 questions appeared on the job applications for all of those jobs that he described, and he filled out everything on the job application except for those essay questions, which the Office of Personnel Management says are optional. You don't have to fill them out and you can just skip right past them. But when he went to click submit, he was told that there were still required fields on the application that he still needed to fill out. And the only required fields left were these 4 essay questions, each of them with a red asterisk saying that you have to fill something out before you can proceed.
Jory, does OPM have an answer for that? Optional on the one hand, but required in order to submit?
OPM's longstanding guidance on this pretty soon after that merit hiring plan was released has been that this is just one piece of the candidate's overall application, that the essay question is not meant to screen out people. They explicitly say that people in charge of the hiring decisions shouldn't treat these essay questions as a political litmus test for candidates. And if candidates don't wish to answer the question, then they can choose not to, and they won't be disqualified or screened out. So OPM's position all along has been that these essay questions are optional. And I did hear from an OPM official who spoke to me on background for the story. That official said that USA Staffing, OPM's talent acquisition service, that there are options on the back end of that system whenever there's a job application, and that you can apparently toggle things to be required or non-required. OPM says its guidance is that when you set up a position you're trying to post online, that you should make those essay questions non-required. And apparently some agencies are in fact saying that they are required, but this OPM official says the agency's position is that other agencies can do what they would like on that, but they are going against OPM's guidance if they are saying that those are required questions.
So OPM is punting it back to the hiring agency, saying they made the choice to make those essays required and not optional.
That's basically it. OPM says it has set its guidance advising what agencies should do, but the hiring agency is the final word on this.
You mentioned this one case, this one individual who had this experience. How prevalent are these questions across the federal job space?
They're spreading more and more frequently. The plaintiff unions, they've set up a web scraper of sorts, and they've been using that as their foundation for data points they've been submitting. And according to that web tool, they believe that about 33,000 job applications so far since the merit hiring plan was released last spring. That 33,000 of these job applications have these questions. That's roughly about a quarter of job postings we've seen in that period of time. However, some agencies are more prevalent with this than others. The unions say that 75% of job postings at the Justice Department and the Energy Department have these questions, and nearly 100% of job postings at the Labor Department have these questions on them. And it also breaks down by occupation that attorney positions, IT and general engineering positions, and HR positions have more often than not have these questions on them, as opposed to, say, nurses, which rarely see these questions appear on job postings.
That's a fascinating breakdown. What happens next with the court case?
So this is all being deliberated before a U.S. federal court in Massachusetts. There were recently oral arguments in this case, and the judge has taken those arguments into consideration. There is pending before the judge a request for a preliminary injunction from the plaintiffs, asking the judge to temporarily block these questions from appearing on applications while the case continues to move forward. We've yet to hear whether the judge will grant or deny that preliminary injunction, but that's the next clear milestone in this legal case.
That's Federal News Network's Jory Heckman. Jory, thanks so much for this update.
Thanks, Terry.
You can find his full story at federalnewsnetwork.com.